Welcome to the Minnesota Vikings weekly podcast of MinnesotaVikingsChat.com. And I'm David Erickson, your host, and I'm with Rick Birmingham in Minneapolis. How you doing, Rick?
Very well.
Good, very good. The Vikings have had an eventful day one of the 2013 NFL Draft. They had 2 picks in the first round, and with them at number 23, they chose defensive tackle from Florida, Sharif Floyd. With the 25th pick, they stood pat. They didn't move up, and they didn't move down. They chose Xavier Rhodes, cornerback from Florida State. And then they traded back into the first round with the New England Patriots. They gave up their 4th-round pick, their 2nd-round pick, their 3rd-round pick, their first 4th-round pick, and in the last 7th-round pick in this draft to move up to number 29 and take New England's spot and choose Cordero Patterson, Tennessee's wide receiver that we've talked about before. So Merry Christmas, Rick.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's a fun day to be a Viking.
Yeah.
So that was Thursday night. Friday night, the Vikings didn't do anything because they didn't have any picks. They've got 5 picks today on Saturday, so they will. They are very strong about getting value in later rounds. So they'll be picking some players today. But let's talk about today's our picks. Our newest addition, 25th, Xavier Rhodes, Florida State, 6'1" or 2. I don't know. They sort of have different profiles. Have him at 6'1" or 6'2", so he must be somewhere in the middle. 210 pounds, good size guy. 33 3/4 inch arms, so he's tall. He's got long arms. 9-inch hands. Ran a 4.43 40. 40.5-inch vertical jump. So on top of being tall and long arms, he's also got ups. So he played receiver in high school and running back. So you can tell from the highlights that he's had some picks. He's got soft hands. My notes on him is that he's got soft hands, make great adjustments to the ball when it's in the air. So he'll be running with a receiver step for step in his hip pocket and naturally just fluidly turn to look for the ball, locate it, and pick it off. He doesn't seem that effective when he's challenged on blitzes. So the blitzes that I saw him and the running back came to pick him up, he didn't seem to have much answer for the blocker on the blitz. He's very good with the jam at the line of scrimmage. He's very physical receiver. And Spielman was calling him a press cover guy. So he's a shutdown corner is what Spielman was saying about him. He seems to use pretty good form on his tackles, though I think he could learn a little bit from Antoine. Oh, that's right. About diving under defensive or offensive linemen to go at the ankles of the runner rather than trying to go around them. A lot of plays he tried to go around offensive linemen rather than sort of darting beneath them the way Winfield perfected. Yeah, so those are sort of my notes on Rhodes. What do you think?
Oh, you could tell he's physical. Like every clip you see of him, he is up against. He's gonna get called. Perhaps the Packers needed to take him because he just is in the space of the wide receiver on a regular basis. Sounds like the big knock on him is the long distance speed. He's quick enough. He may not be able to run down the field with one of the faster receivers and stuff like that. That's probably okay with the cover 2 with the safety back there if you have to pick a weakness. The most fascinating thing to me about it is this the beginning of an entirely different type of secondary for the Vikings. Smith is more physical. He's not going to be bump and run on the line. But now we have a guy who's bump and run on the line, the opposite of Winfield, who would read and react and was brilliant at it. Cook somewhere in between, probably closer to the physical, although that wasn't really how we were playing him, I don't think. But it's really interesting if we're going to be more of a in-your-face style defense or cornerbacks. That'll be interesting because I don't think we can overstate the impact of losing Winfield and how that changes the defense.
Yeah.
And this is how we're replacing him, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, you look at him, he's 6'1", 6'2", 200+ pound cornerbacks, both in Cook and Rhodes now, and sort of everybody looks at what Seattle has done with their secondary. They've got big, physical corners, and when we've got Brandon Marshall and Calvin Johnson to face up against twice a year. Yeah, it will be interesting. I think some of the knock on Rhodes too is he's not particularly comfortable in zone, which I couldn't really tell from the film that I saw, and I don't know how that's possible. The hard part is playing man coverage. So no.
Remember Harris for the Packers could never figure out how to play zone. Even in the All-Pro game, he got called a couple times because he wouldn't stay off the line. Just wanted the physicality.
But I'm excited about this guy. I think it's a huge addition. He is good. I mean, he has a good. He's not afraid of hitting people. He's not afraid of contact. He's a good form tackler. As I said, I think he needs to learn how to get under offensive linemen rather than going around them. But I think that'll help. Right. Let's wrap this up. Rick, you want to do any self-promotion or promotion of any type?
Just share our content.
All right. That's a good promotion. I'm going to promote a friend of ours, fellow football player of ours, David LeDuc, is a musician. And he just came out with his solo album, A Floor of Clouds, on which I play guitar on track 2. So I'll leave a link in the show notes so you can check that out. It's a great album, really good music. So buy it. This has been the Minnesota Vikings Chat Podcast, MinnesotaVikingsChat.com. Visit us on Facebook or like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Minnesota Vikings Chat and on Twitter at Twitter.com/MNVikingsChat. And until next week, go Vikings!